Hello and welcome back to history. We are going to jump into our ancient Greece unit today. So we're going to be on pages 300 to 305. Make sure for this lesson you have your book handy if you have a textbook. If not, you can follow along online. And then also your history packet. You're going to be completing page 122 today. So make sure you have that out and handy as well. All right, so just like any history chapter, before we start reading the Ancient Greece unit, I would like you to preview the text. So you should have done that yesterday. You should have completed page 121 with the little bottom portion on some observations that you made from the textbook. So if you haven't done that yet, please make sure you go and do that first. Today we're going to be taking a look at section 1, and I'm going to show you how you can preview the text. So what are some things that you should be doing as you're going through the text selection before you start reading? So all of this happens before you read. And again, this is just like we've done with any other section in history throughout this year. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to notice any titles, subtitles, headings, and then obviously looking at these key ideas and key terms here at the top. So we can see that this section is called The Rise of City-States. The key ideas are physical geography helped shape Greek life and culture. The basic political unit of ancient Greece was the city-state, and early Greek history was marked by frequent warfare among small city-states. Some key terms we have here are polis, citizen, acropolis, politics, and aristocracy. Now, if there's any of those key terms that maybe I as a reader am not familiar with, I'm going to make sure as I preview the text, I read that portion so that I know before I even start reading what that key term is. All right, so let's see what else we find here on page 300. We could see an image here of the statue of Athena, and by reading the caption, we learn that she's the goddess of wisdom and protector of cities. So that might make us wonder, it doesn't sound like they are worshiping the traditional Judeo-Christian god. They must be worshiping other gods. Geography of the Greek world. We see here this title saying that it's a rugged land. So that might make us wonder, what is that landscape like in Greece? And again, we're not reading anything yet, we're just previewing. So we're going to jump ahead to page 300. And again, taking note of the headings, surrounded by sea, Mediterranean climate. And then we get to see this beautiful map here, which gives us a better understanding of where exactly Greece is located. So it looks like it definitely has a lot of sea surrounding it. We can see a lot of small little dots of islands throughout. So that might make us wonder, I wonder if people lived on the islands too, or just lived on the mainland, and how that might have affected their culture being separated by different islands and whatnot. So it does seem kind of spread out if we look at the Greece area in particular. We notice here that there is Egypt on the map as well, and we've studied that earlier this year. So not too far away from Egypt, but to the north and across the Mediterranean Sea. All right, let's keep going and see what else we find. Page 302 now, we see the title is Early Greek History, and we're going to learn about Minoan civilization and the Mycenaeans. Now, if I scroll down and I look at this picture here on page 302, that palace looks pretty ornate. There's a lot of decorations, and it makes me think that they must have had a pretty advanced civilization to have that many just artwork on display and artifacts all throughout in that picture. And I see here on the caption that it says it was around 1700 BC. All right, we're going to continue now on to page 303. We see this heading of the Dark Age. That sounds ominous. I wonder what happened there. I'm definitely going to be checking that out when I read through the text. And then we see this picture of this large horse that appears to be made out of wood, definitely very much taller than a man, all the way up to the top of the buildings here. And if we're not familiar with the story, that picture definitely might pique our interest. And the caption here says that the Trojans celebrate the gift of the wooden horse in this scene from a recent movie. So this is a movie remaking a scene from this period of time in ancient Greece history, and it's referred to often as the Trojan horse. So some of you might be familiar with that story, some of you might not. If you're not, definitely that picture I think is going to pique your interest, and you're going to want to learn more. So that must be connected then with that the Trojan War. That must be a clue for us there, that's the heading of that section. It also has me wondering if I have heard of the story of the Trojan horse. I thought that was made up. I don't know. Guess we're going to have to read and find out. All right, now this next section, it says the emergence of city-states is our title here. We're going to learn about the polis, and we can see now some of our key terms are starting to pop up. So if we aren't familiar with those key terms, we could just look and glance at the text real quickly. We see that polis is a city-state. So that helps us gain that understanding before we start reading the text. And then this sounds familiar, Corinth. We've heard about Corinth by studying the Bible. So let's see what it says. Corinth was one of the richest city-states in Greece. The city's economic power grew from its location. Corinth controlled not only the north-south land route across the Isthmus of Corinth, but also the east-west sea route. A special roadway allowed ships to be dragged across the 5-mile-wide isthmus. So interesting. It might have my Bible readers' interest thinking, Corinth is actually related to Greece? Maybe you didn't know that. So we're going to be learning a little bit more about Corinth as we dive into this section as well. All right, let's go look at our final page from this section. Page 305 here, we see the remainder of our key terms. We see an acropolis is a high city. We see politics is the art and practice of government. And aristocracy is a hereditary class of rulers. And that word hereditary means that they are ruling by their birthright. So they're born into the aristocracy. You can't buy your way in. You are born in by whoever your ancestors or your parents were. And then again, looking at our headings, we've got politics in the polis. And we learned on the previous page that polis meant city-state. And the pride in the polis. So definitely going to see those city-states taking a big role in this section as we read. So now what I would like you to do is on your own, go through and read pages 300 to 305. Hopefully some of these things that we've taken a look at through the chapter have piqued your interest on what we're going to be learning in this section. So you're going to read pages 300 to 305 on your own, or you could always listen to it. Remember, if you click on this speaker at the top of every page, it'll read it to you. And then as you're reading, you're going to complete page 122 in your history packet. I've got that there for you. I'm also going to pop over here. I've got it open in a new tab. So you're completing page 122 as you're reading. We know that the answers on the right-hand side are all the key terms. We've done these pages before. So all the answers are the key terms. And then on the left side, the question should have a definition. So I'll just do this first one for you since we talked about this already. So remember, we're putting it in the form of a question. So I'm going to say, what is? And then we saw that a polis is a city-state. All right, so what is a city-state? And the answer is polis. So remember, think about that Jeopardy game. You're writing your answers in the form of questions. If the question is given to you, then you're giving just the key term as your answer. Now tomorrow we're going to look back at this section, so pages 300, 305, we'll look at that again, but tomorrow we're going to look at some of the causes and effects. So as you read through the text today, I want you to pay careful attention to what were the root causes of some of the major events in that ancient Greek history that you read about in your textbook today. All right, so happy reading, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye friends.